What is up, NBL Nation, and welcome to Week 3 of Coach's Corner with Coach Ty. Got a good show for you on tap. Going to do some different things. Formatted a little differently. Just want to thank everybody for the positive emails that I've been getting during the course of the week. Guys like Fogra and Candy and others who have mentioned that they enjoyed the show. Trevor, a.k.a. UGA Dog. So as long as I keep getting those types of emails, and I know you guys like the show and you're listening, me and Reggie have no problem continue doing this. If nobody was listening, I'm not going to waste an hour out of my life, trying to put this together, same with Reggie. Reggie's spending 15, 20 hours to edit the show for nobody to listen to. So got some cool little topics and some different things to discuss. First, I'm going to start off with two major happenings in NBL. First, I know Philly in Canada sent out, our commissioner Philly in Canada, by the way, sent out an email yesterday regarding the coach situation in our league. So I know a lot of guys don't check the email at Check XFN. If you're listening to the show, let me explain what's going on. Basically, you guys know in Connected Career Mode that the coaches accrue what's called legacy points. And those legacy points that you accrue during the course of the season, they're going to determine at the end of the season your ability to retain key free agents, sign free agents, etc. Well, there were a few coaches in the beginning of the year who did not change their coaches out. Let's say Tom Coughlin in New York, for example. Well, me as Coach Ty, who's only got 25 legacy points, only having played 4 games in Connected Career Mode, I'm no match, no competition for Tom Coughlin, who's got 6,000 legacy points. So since Coach S.L. Storm, who was the Giants owner at that time, did not change his coach out at the end of the year, if Calvin Johnson wanted to test free agency, who do you think would have more influence to sign Calvin Johnson? Tom Coughlin or Coach Ty? So basically, this was brought to our attention by UGA Dog. It was valid. He's got a ton of experience in Connected Careers Mode. And he brought us to the committee's attention, and we agreed that it was valid and correct. So what we decided to do was have everyone retire their coaches who were named coaches and replace them with themselves. That way everyone's on an even level playing field. So at the end of the year, Coach Ty is not competing with Mike Shanahan and Tom Coughlin because that probably wouldn't have worked out too well for Coach Ty. Instead, I get to compete against Coach Candy and Coach Doc Watcher, and at least I have a better chance because our legacy points may be somewhat similar. So that was the big announcement that went out yesterday, and that's why if you jumped in Connected Careers Mode, you've probably seen that Tom Coughlin got fired, and you've probably seen that Mike McCarthy in Green Bay got fired. That's why. So if you haven't yet changed your big-name coach out, you will need to do that, okay? The longer you go without doing it, when you do have to change, now you're starting out 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks in the hole and back of the other coaches, guys like me, who've been Coach Ty 4 or 5 weeks, and you're behind the 8 ball. So you want to do that immediately. Now, item number 2, the XFN website. Got an email from the commissioner today, Philly in Canada, stating that Vince, who was the creator and owner of the XFN website that we all enjoyed so much last year and this year, has given up on waiting for EA to make it to where the XFN site could sync stats from EA Sports. That being said, Philly has had a backup plan now for a couple of weeks just in case this happened. So he sent me a link today to a site called Madden Ballers, and basically it's kind of similar to XFN. The layout and the graphics are different, but it contains all of the same information that the XFN site has, and the site is actually able to sync stats live on the site. So the good thing about that is you'd be able to jump onto this site and you'd be able to see your team's record, who the player of the week was, we'd still have a babe of the week and all those good things, and I think it would bring a ton more of excitement back to the league. Now, Philly's currently working with the gentleman he worked with last year to bring us XFN to get the site up and running. I don't have a timetable. I don't know how long it's going to take before this new site's up and running, but we do have a backup plan. It is coming. It is quickly approaching us, and it's on the way. So I think it's going to be great for our league. And what I think is that a ton of people who are currently not participating in the chat box are going to jump back in it because those stats drive conversations, trades, etc. So with those two announcements about what's going on in the NBL being said, normally in the first two coaches' corners, I kind of started out with a rant or a tangent, basically bringing you guys my observations about the game and what I've seen and how I think the gameplay is. Well, instead of bringing you one of those rants and tangents, I'm going to go in a different direction, and I'm going to talk strategy. I'm going to talk Madden strategy in this segment, and I'm not going to talk about tangents and what I observe in the game. I'm going to talk about things I do to prepare to play a game and how I structure my team and my style. And I'm going to talk about tips that I may have seen or tips that I know, and I'm going to share a few things. To quote Maverick, I'm not the greatest Madden ball player in the world, but I'm all right. And that's the way I look at it. I'm not by any means S. Gibbs or Z Falls. I'm not Duke from Sports Gamers. You know, I'm not Truth from Good Game Madden. I'm not any of those guys, but I understand the game. I understand real football. I can play a little bit, and you know, obviously I have some things that I could maybe help bring to the table to help some others out. So with that being said, this segment right here today is going to be called Madden 101. And basically, like I said, it's strategy based. So when you play a game of Madden, I mean, this is fun and it's a video game, but I'm sure we all have different objectives of what we're trying to accomplish and what we want to do. Maybe we just want to play for fun and blow off some steam. Maybe we're trying to play to get better, period, online, ranked. Maybe we're in a franchise league and we're trying to construct a team to compete dynasty-wise for 3 or 4 years. Maybe we're interested in Madden Ultimate Team. Maybe you just want to be the best in your neighborhood. Whatever you want to do, you have a goal or an agenda when you play Madden, or you wouldn't be joining leagues, you wouldn't be buying ebooks, you wouldn't be looking at YouTube videos, you wouldn't be living. So obviously, that's kind of what I want to talk about today. And I'm basically going to talk about 4 things. I'm going to talk about offensive strategies and schemes. I'm going to talk about defensive strategies and schemes. I'm going to give you a special team tip that I like to use. And I'm going to talk about the mental edge in Madden. And it's basically a mindset you have playing the game. First and foremost, I think I'm going to start there with the mental aspect of Madden, because I think that that's something that's highly overlooked in the game. And I know it's something that honestly floods me from time to time. I mean, there are a lot of different factors that go into Madden: your scheme, your opponent, your stick skills, your knowledge of football. But at the end of the day, a lot of times, especially at my level, I'm past that. I understand the game. I know how the game plays. I understand real football. I understand schemes. I have schemes. What trips me up from time to time, now I'm talking personally about myself, is the mental aspects of Madden. So I feel that first and foremost, once you've gotten to a point where you understand the game, formation, schemes, your opponent, tactics, tendencies, etc., it comes down to the mental aspect of Madden. What do I mean by that? Well, there are a few different things. For me, the biggest thing that I need to always keep in mind, and maybe this is a bunch of you guys too, is when I play the game, I need to play the game to win and not to lose. And there's a big difference. I think we've all probably had those games where something goes wrong or something goes bad, and the first thing that pops in your mind is, here we go again. I'm getting maddened. You know, the brakes ain't going my way. You know, that was a BS turnover. That was a bad call. And instead of fighting through that mental point and sticking to our game plan, we get frustrated, we get aggravated, we press and we push, and one bad mistake normally turns into 2, into 3, into 4. And a lot of times at the end of the day, when we lose those games, we want to sit back and we want to say we lost because of this one reason, when in actuality, we lost because of a multitude of reasons. We allowed that one bad call, bad break, that injury, that fumble, that bad call, whatever it was, to basically take us out of our game, and we played into our opponent's hands, and we were manipulated. And we really lost because of ourselves. Okay? That break wasn't fortunate, but it's not necessarily sometimes the way or the reason why we lost. So, when I speak about playing to win and not to lose, I think it's important at all times when we play this game that you understand that you need to be playing the game to win. Not trying to be conservative, not hoping that you don't lose, not hoping that you don't get a turnover. You need to play the game to win from start to finish. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's not that you shouldn't eat clock and stuff like that, because those are good, smart strategies. But if you look at eating clock, let's say you're playing the game to win. Most people are. Sometimes I know people that's not playing the game to win and they're eating clock. They just want you to get back on the field because they can't stop you, etc. But most of the time when you're eating clock, you have a strategy, it's smart, and you're doing what you can to win the game. So always understand whenever you pick up the sticks, you need to have the mentality that you're playing the game to win the game and not lose the game. Don't start doubting yourself, especially if something bad happens. Don't start thinking, here we go again. It was one play, get over it, keep it moving, and keep your head about yourself. So things that I like to do, opening drives of games, these are just a few tips that I employ. The opening drive of a game when I play somebody, I like to come out in a pretty vanilla defense. I'm not going to send a ton of heat, a ton of blitzes at you so that I can get burned on the first play. You go over the top of my head for 95 yards. Now I'm down 7-0, and I have no idea what you're doing to me on offense, etc., because I try to get a big play the first play of the game. I like to come out vanilla. You know what? Play a bend but don't break defense. Keep everything in front of me. You know what? If you're going to run the ball for 4, 5, 6, 7 yards at a clip, go ahead. Because you're going to need about, 9 of those plays, 10 of those plays to get down the field as long as I keep everything in front of me and don't give up any big plays. So when I'm playing someone, say I'm playing Coach Reggie for the first time, don't know anything about him, I'm going to come out in a base vanilla defense. I'm going to be sure that that defense that I'm playing has the ability to shut down any big plays, maybe a cover 4 with some adjustments. Everything's going to stay in front of me. Now, this type of defense is not going to shut anybody down, but it's going to be the type of defense to where if you're going to score on me, you're going to burn 9 to 10 plays. Well, what happened? We burned maybe a quarter of the game now. You probably went through all of your good plays. You probably went through all your money plays. And that was the first drive. And, okay, you scored at 7-0. Well, like, second time I play you, now I understand and realize what your tendencies are, where you like to run the ball, what type of runs you like to use, what type of formations you like to come out in. When you come on this formation, do you like to throw to the left sideline? Do you like to throw to the right sideline? Are you hitting me in the middle? Are you hitting me deep? These are tendencies that can be used later on in the third and fourth quarter to your advantage to get that key turnover when you need it. So, initially out the gate, Madden-wise, once again, I'm playing somebody new for the first time. I like to come out pretty vanilla for that first drive. I'm not going to do anything extravagant. I'm going to lull them into a false security. They're not really going to know what defense I want to play the whole game, but I'm getting to see what they want to do all game. That's the Madden mental edge. Okay? That's an example of what I'm talking about, along with playing to win and not lose. Don't press in the game, no matter what happens. This game is about imposing your will. Either one or two things is going to happen. Your opponent is going to impose his will on you, or you're going to impose your will on them. Well, what do you mean by that, Coach Ty? I'll tell you exactly what I mean, imposing your will. Let's say Coach Reggie, who's doing the show with me right now. Coach Reggie is a good friend of mine and a lab partner. We've probably played each other about, no exaggeration, maybe 50 or 60 times between last year and this year. He knows what I'm going to do. I know what he's going to do. Now, when I speak about imposing your will, Reggie switched up a little bit this year, but typically, if Reggie can, Reggie is going to ground and pound the rock. If Reggie has it his way, Reggie is going to run maybe 35 run plays and pass maybe 11 times, and I'm not exaggerating. If he had it his way, he would prefer that, and there's nothing wrong with that. So, if Reggie wanted to impose his will on me, Reggie's going to be able to successfully run the ball and pick up first downs without having to throw the ball and without having a risky interception. Reggie's going to be able to run the ball for 3, 4, 5 yards a pop. He's going to control the clock. He's going to ground me out. He's going to keep me off the field, and I'm going to be playing his kind of game. Well, knowing that, if I want to impose my will on Reggie and understand my opponent, I need to shut his runs down. I need to take Reggie out of that mindset. I need to limit those runs he's getting that's getting him 4 or 5 yards to carry to maybe 1 yard to carry or maybe negative 2 yards. Because guess what? If I've got Reggie in 3rd and 20, at a certain point in time, he's going to stop running the ball. He's got to throw it. Well, catering to what Coach Ty likes to do, Coach Ty likes to blitz. Coach Ty likes to bring heat. I like to lurk the field when I bring that heat. So if I've got him in 3rd and 20, and he's more comfortable running the ball, and now he's got to pass the ball in 3rd and 20, and I've got a nice blitz lined up to where either A, I'm going to sack him or force him to make a bad decision and throw me that pick, well, now I'm playing the kind of game I want. I want to play a more fast-tempo, run-and-gun, up-and-down the field type of game to take him out of his game. So typically in Madden, whichever of the two coaches is able to impose his will on the other person, that's generally who's going to win the game. Because all of us have a different way and a different style that we want to play the game. So it's really important to try to establish early on the way you want to play, and no matter what happens, don't press and stick to what you want to do. Now, obviously, sometimes that doesn't work. Again, in my example, Reggie wants to run the ball. Well, if Reggie's down 30-0 at the half, it would be very foolish for Reggie to come out of 3rd and 4th quarter and try to run the ball and eat clock when he's down 4 or 5 scores. So there are times where you can impose your will, but don't get rattled by big plays. Let's look at the example I gave with me and Reggie again. Okay, so Reggie wants to run the ball, right? I stop Reggie on his first play. I get him in that 3rd and 20. It's 3rd and 20, he throws me a pick. I get the ball back, I run it back for a pick 6, it's 7-0. Okay, 2nd drive. Reggie wants to run the ball and chew up clock. I pop Reggie in the backfield. His running back fumbles. I pick up the ball, I take it, and it's 14-0. Most people, where they lose it, is at that point in time, they're going to panic. It's only 14-0 in the first quarter. But instead of sticking to our game, oh man, I'm down 14-0. Now we're pressing. Now, even though I don't throw the ball, I'm going to start throwing the ball because I feel like I'm in a hole and I don't want to get too far in a hole. Well, now I've dictated the game to Reggie. Now I've imposed my will to Reggie. Now I've got him doing something he's not comfortable doing, and odds are he's going to pay for it because he's going to throw me an interception or he's going to do something foolish because he's not comfortable throwing the ball. So when I speak about not pressing, stick to your game plan if you can, no matter what. Okay? That often can be the difference between a win and a loss because in that example, when he's down 14-0, Reggie ran the ball, he puts together a nice time-consuming drive, eats up clock, takes us to the end of the first quarter, he scores, it's now 14-7, he's down a touchdown. But instead, because Reggie presses, and I'm not saying he really does, this is an example, now he throws me a pick, I take it back for another pick six, now it's 21-0. Now he's desperate and the game's out of hand, and now he's created a bad situation because he didn't stick to his game plan and he was pressing. So, at the end of the day, it's really important not to press, stick to what you do and impose your will on your opponent and don't let him impose his will on you. Remember that example I gave you guys about playing vanilla defense? There was a reason why. It wasn't just because I love playing defense that much. It's because I'm trying to pick up on tendencies. Madden is a smart, thinking person's game. It's not just mashing and pressing a bunch of buttons. I gave up that long drive in the beginning that then don't play defense because I wanted to see what my opponent's going to do. Realistically, in Madden, at the end of the day, I don't care how good any of us think we are, you really only got maybe 5 to 10 plays. Tops, period, max, end of discussion. It's very rare that you're going to see somebody with 20 and 30 plays. It really doesn't happen that often. Generally, someone's got 1, 2, maybe 3 formations they like to play out of. They've got maybe 3 plays in each formation, and they've got a total of 9 to 10 plays. And guess what? They're going to spend and burn through most of those plays in that first drive because they want to score. Well, if you played good enough defense to where you made them go through 9 to 10 plays, you did that for a reason, guys. Play those tendencies. When someone comes out starting the game out with, that's what they're comfortable doing. That's their bread and butter. What you need to be doing is taking mental notes while you're playing the game. Okay, on 3rd and 10, I noticed that Reggie threw 4 verticals. So guess what, guys? In the 3rd quarter, when it's 3rd and 10, what do you think Coach Reggie's going to do? He's going to throw 4 more verticals. You've seen that before. So knowing that he's going to play 4 verticals, you need to make the proper defensive adjustments. Maybe there was a key point in the game where it was 3rd and 10 instead of throwing verticals. Reggie decided he wanted to throw 4 curls. Well, guess what's coming on a key 3rd and 10 in the 3rd quarter? 4 curls. Okay? It's really important during that first drive that you take the time to not only make defensive adjustments and play vanilla, but you look and understand what your opponent is trying to do. okay? If it's 3rd and 10, and in that first drive, he broke 4 verticals, on 3rd and 10 in the fourth quarter, he's not going to run the ball and try to switch it up when he needs to get that key first down. So, really important that you play your opponent's tendencies. And last but not least, have a trick play or information on both offense and defense that you don't use unless you need to. What do you mean by that, Coach Ty? Well, say you've been running single back bunch most of the game, and maybe you've been running, shotgun snugs flipped. Okay, your opponent's seen that for 3.5 quarters. This is a key drive. You need to make a score. Don't go back to shotgun snugs or single back bunch where your opponent has seen and know what you're going to do when you come out. Maybe now you come out in a 5 wide that he hasn't seen all game. Remember, it's the fourth quarter now. There's 2 minutes left in the game. You're on that 2-minute drive. When he sees that 5 wide, he is going to shit. He doesn't know what you're going to do. He hasn't seen that formation all game long. He's not going to have an idea of where you want to go and what route you want to use. So the element of surprise is yours, and now you're in a position to make a successful drive as opposed to going back to the same little money play that you used 10 times in the game to where when you come out in it, the defender's going to be sitting right where you want to throw the ball, and even though you see the defense there, because it's your money play, you think you're going to muscle the ball in there anyway. It's not going to work. So having a trick play on or trick play or trick formation on both offense and defense normally is a nice little element of surprise you can have to be successful in the game this year. And it works that way on defense too. What do I mean by that? You know what? Maybe you've been running a sugar blitz all game on somebody. So now you're on the other side of the ball. You need to get a key stop at the end of the game. When you come in that sugar blitz, your opponent is going to know where that blitz is coming from, what adjustment he has to make, who he needs to block, and where he needs to get the ball thrown to. Well, maybe you don't come on a sugar blitz. Maybe now you come on a dime flat. Okay, well, that's a new look he's got to look at now. He doesn't know where you're set up. He doesn't know if you're in man of zone. He doesn't know if you're lurking. He doesn't know if you're blitzing. He doesn't know if you're in max coverage. So now your opponent's got a tougher time going to his comfortable place because he doesn't know what you're going to do. So in summary, talking about the mental aspect of Madden, the few things that I've covered and went over is 1, imposing your will on your opponent. 2, playing to win the game and not to lose. 3, a vanilla defense concept, the first drive of the game in which you understand and pick up on your opponent's tendencies so that you can use it against your opponent later on down the line. 4, not pressing. Don't press no matter what the situation is unless it's do or die. And 5, having a trick play or formation you can go to move the rock or stop the rock from being moved when you need to. So that being said, now that we have a mental understanding of how we want to approach the game, I'm going to go through a few quick little pointers or tips that I like to run for myself. If this helps you guys, great. If not, maybe you can help me. And maybe you can chime in on the chat box and tell me some things, or send me an email and tell me some things you think help you or may help me. On offense, I'll start with offense. You know what? On offense, to me, the key to playing offense in any year of Madden is having a cohesive scheme that looks alike. In general, what I mean by that is if you're going to run a formation, that's why I'm not a great big fan of custom playbooks unless you do it smart. But I'm talking about a regular playbook. You want to come out in shotgun snugs flip, that's fine. But ideally, for that to be successful, to me, we're going to want 3 to 4 plays out of that formation that all look the same. That you can go to different places, different reads, and different looks. And preferably, I like to have at least 3 pass plays and 1 run play per every formation. Because if I'm playing somebody and every time I see them come on shoddy snugs, all they do is pass the ball, I'm going to play them for pass. But if they have a run, maybe even 2 that they can mix in that scheme, now I'm kind of in the grinder. Because I can't overcommit to the pass because he's proven he can run the ball out of that formation. I'm not going to load up the box to stop the run because I know he can pass out of that formation. So now I have no advantage, and my opponent is now able to impose his will on me because I'm in the grinder because I don't know what or where he's going with the ball or what he's going to do out of that formation. So at the end of the day, a good solid offense to me consists of, a couple of different formations you can go to that you have at least 3 passing plays and 1 running play out of that formation to where you can go up and down the field out of that one formation if you chose to. Now, obviously, the better Madden player you want more than one formation. Ideally, to quote S. Gibbs and Z. Falls, 5 sets for success, which I do believe in, you want to have at least 3, 4, 5 different sets and formations that you can go to with at least 3 pass plays and 1 run play per to have a nice, completely, totally balanced offense. What other things do I do on offense? I look to exploit mismatches on the field. I mean, it sounds like it's common sense, but you'd be surprised how many people don't do it. Folks, you know your roster better than anybody. Use it to your advantage. Perfect example. I play with the Lions. Okay, I have Titus Young. The guy's got 95 speed. Could I put him as my number 2 receiver? I sure could. He's fast enough, but he's also a smaller guy. Now, I still could put him out there at the number 2 spot, but personally for me, I want one of my fastest guys in the slot. Because we all know we like to run our little drags and our little slants across the middle of the field. And who do you think get better separation? The guy with 78 speed going across the middle or the guy with 95 speed? So use your fast guys. I also have Calvin Johnson. Do I want to put him in a slot? Probably not. The guy's 6'6". The guy's beat press is 98. Why don't I want him on the outside so I can throw jump balls and lobs and fades, etc.? So at the end of the day, guys, use your offense to your advantage and take advantage of the opponent's weaknesses. Okay? If I'm playing the Jets, going back to the Titus Young example, and I know they've got Cromartie and Revis as quarterbacks, you know what? It may be a tough day for my receivers. But I also know Kyle Wilson, their third cornerback, is not Cromartie and Revis. So maybe I may want to put my best receiver in the slot and make my opponent adjust to me. So that's just an example of exploiting mismatches on the field. Exploit your tall receivers, exploit your fast receivers, move them around, change their positions if need be. You know what? Maybe I play with the Giants online, not in franchise. You know what? Martellus Bennett can't catch the ball to save his life. Hopefully he gets an upgrade because he's had a few good games in real life. So what do I do online? I move my wide receiver, Ramses Barden, 6'6", who catches the ball a lot better, who's faster, into the tight end position, and I move Bennett to the fullback. Okay? Bennett's a hell of a pass blocker. He can catch passes out the field. He's good in the run and pass game blocking. That's an example of exploiting my opponent and also using my offense to my advantage. Last but not least on offense, I like to utilize decoys on offense. I have Calvin Johnson in our franchise. So what does that mean? It means that everybody I play is going to spend a whole bunch of time trying to double and triple and make sure they have safety help over the top to stop Calvin Johnson. Well, he's only got 11 defenders, guys. If he's dedicating 2 or 3 guys to him, I've got a mismatch somewhere on the field. Tony Shepard's open somewhere, or he's got one-on-one. Brandon Pettigrew's one-on-one. Roy Williams is one-on-one, or Titus Young is one-on-one. It would be very foolish of me to still try to force the ball into Calvin Johnson because he's Calvin Johnson. Okay? Again, I'm imposing my will. Not letting my opponent impose the will. Okay? When Calvin Johnson's open or has one-on-one, I'll take my shot to keep him honest and keep him thinking that Calvin Johnson is my guy. But when he's not open, I'm not forcing the ball there. I'm going to Titus Young. I'm going to Scheffler. I'm going to Pettigrew. I'm going to Michael LeShoe out the backfield. I'm going to Greg Childs. Take what they give you. Utilize your decoy. Don't necessarily feel because you have Calvin Johnson that you got to throw the ball in 50 times a game. He's going to get his. Calvin Johnson's leading my team in receptions and yards. Not receptions, receiving touchdowns and yards. But Titus Young is the most catches on my team. Okay, I utilize him in spots. So that's my offensive philosophy. On defense, you have to mix up your looks scheme-wise. You know what? There's a big debate. Is it better to play max coverage this year? Is it better to blitz and send the house all the time? Last year, I was a blitz and send the house all the time kind of guy. This year, you have got to mix it up. There aren't too many blitzes that are consistently going to get in there. And with the pass lead, it's so easy to get quick passes off. If you're going to sit back and blitz somebody every down, you might get a few sacks in the first quarter. They're going to adjust, and they're going to rape you. Okay, you have to adjust. So on defense, I think it's ultra important to have that one formation that you base your base defense out of, that you've got a max coverage look out of, you've got a blitz look out of, you've got a man look out of, and a zone look out of. Okay? That way, every time you line up in that formation, your opponent doesn't know what you're going to do. Is Ty set at 6? Is he dropping 11? Is he in cover 2? Is he in cover 4? The more you can do out of one formation on defense, the better off you're going to be, as opposed to having 5 or 6 different defenses you use for different situations. If every time I play Ty, I see him come out of 46 speed package, and I know every time I see the 46 speed package, he's blitzing me. When I see him come out in 46, guess what? I'm already making my hop routes and adjustments to beat his blitz. Conversely, if every time I play him, I see him come out in quarters, he's in coverage D, I know when I see quarters, he's in coverage D. So maybe now I'm looking to run the ball or pass them or playmaker receivers out of his max coverage. So the more you can go out of one formation on defense, the better. Now also, just the way I talked about on offense, exploiting your opponent's weaknesses. You have weaknesses on your team too. So on defense, I think it is super key to understand where your team is weak at. Let's think of some examples. Again, I play with the Giants online ranked. Okay? A weakness of the Giants, I would say, is their secondary. Corey Webster is the Giants' #1 cornerback. He's got 87 speed. Okay? When I'm playing the Eagles, and I know D-Jax and Jay Lackler on the outside are in the high 90 speed-wise, it would not be a good idea of me to think Corey Webster's going to guard either one of them. So what do? I understand that's a weakness. Before the game, I go into my depth chart. I make Corey Webster my slot corner. I put Prince Amukamara, who's got 94 speed at my #1 position. I put Javon Hosey, who's got 94 speed at my #2 position. Granted, D-Jax Macklin may be a rating point or 2 faster. In D-Jax's case, maybe 5 points faster. But I'm still giving myself the best chance by putting my fastest defenders on their fastest receivers. Understand what your weaknesses are on defense and mask them. If you've got bad to average corners that can't press, that are slow, you probably don't want to play man defense. You need to understand that weakness. You need to go ahead and create your scheme based out of his own defense to where you've got a good tight zone, you've got good lurking in that zone, you understand where your opponent wants to go with the ball, and you can cover up your DB's weaknesses by putting them in place to succeed. So on defense, the 2 most important tips I can give you guys, the more you can scheme out of 1, good look and run the whole game, the better. And 2, understand your team, your roster, understand what their weaknesses are, and mask them and cover them as best as you can. Special teams, the only tip I'm going to give you guys is a tip I use, and it's basically how I like to kick the ball off. Maybe it'll help you guys, maybe it won't. I've only had 1 kickoff returned on me in Madden 13, and I probably played between unranked games, ranked games, and lab games and league games, maybe, 80 90 games this year, and I've only had 1 kickoff return. What I like to do is take the kick meter, and I put that son of a gun up as high as possible. I move the arrow over to the left or right, close to the sidelines as far as possible, and I kick the ball as high as I can. What is that going to do, and why do I do it? Last year, people did it because by the time you got the ball, they could strip the hell out of you because their defenders would be down there, and they just rip the ball out your hands, and that's why they did it. This year, not so much, but I do it this year because it gives my defenders enough time to get down the field, and by the time you're catching that ball, because I kicked it high to the sidelines, my defender can make a hit on you. You're not going nowhere. Your blocking's not set up right because the ball got kicked so high, and it helps me prevent any kickoffs or punt returns. And the biggest starting position you'll give up to your opponent is maybe he's on the 35-yard line. You can take a chance to kick regular, and maybe that chance doesn't work out for you, and someone takes it back to the house. So that's just a little tip of special teams that I like to employ. So we went over offensive strategies, we went over defensive strategies, special teams, and the Madden Edge. Last but not least, ways to get better. No one likes to lose. I sure as hell don't. If you like to lose, you're probably playing the wrong game because it's a very competitive game, and there are a lot of good guys in our league, online, in your neighborhood, at GameStop, at VG Gaming, Gamer Saloon, wherever you go. And when you get your teeth kicked down your throat, it stinks. But I hate to be the moral victory guy, but there is something to be said for learning something from your losses. So what ways are there out there, guys, for us to get better? A few things I like to do. One, make sure you build up a friends list. Okay? Now, a lot of stuff I'm going to give you is predicated on having the amount of time you need to practice and play. But I do realize there are a lot of us out there, they can't play, 4 or 5 hours a day. They can't play every day. Maybe you can only play, once or twice a week. Maybe you're in school. Maybe the wife or girlfriend is not a big fan of Madden. Maybe you work a lot of hours. I understand that, and that's going to be tougher. But for those of us that can play a little more, the thing I do is build up your friends list, guys. And don't play a bunch of guys who you can smash and beat down all the time. No one gets better that way. Look at John Bones Jones in UFC. Do you think he's the UFC light heavyweight champion because he spars with a bunch of scrubs? How are those scrubs he spars with going to make him good enough to take on Vitor Belfort, Rampage Jackson, or Rashad Sugar Evans? No. The guys in this spar with the best in the world. Guys that can push him. Guys that can make him better. So understand, when you pick or determine a lab partner, when you pick or determine who's going to be on your friends list, who you're going to play against, who you're going to play in your neighborhood, stay away from loading up on the cupcakes, okay? If you just want to beat down and smash a bunch of scrubs, yeah, that's fine. You might be the big man in your little neighborhood, your little clique, but you're going to go online, you're going to join a league, and you're going to get exposed because you're not as good as you thought you were because you're playing inferior talent. Load up on high-level guys on your friends list. You play a guy in a franchise game, he kicks the crap out of you, you really respect his game, you know what? Shoot that guy a friend request. You know what? I'll give you a perfect example. Fograr. He's the Chargers in our league. The dude's 4-0. Okay? I understand he was in a league with Philly in Canada before he came to this league, and he's a 2-3-time defending Super Bowl champion. I played him one time last year in NBL before I actually got decent. And I was the Jets, and the guy kicked my teeth down my throat. He was the Dolphins. He smashed me. It was 28-3. I think he could have actually did a lot more damage to me, but he was a gentleman, and he played with good sportsmanship, and he wasn't trying to ruin me or embarrass me. Okay? It was a humiliating defeat. It knocked me back. I was 2-4 in the division. Shortly after that, Fograr was burned out and left. I never lost another game after that. I went 10-0 down the stretch and made it to the playoffs, ending up the season at 12-4. To make a long story short, I shot him some PMs. He shot me some PMs. We talk back and forth on the email sometimes. Whenever I see him online, he'll ask if I want to play a game. I say yes, and when I do, he smacks my ass. You know what? I don't get discouraged. I don't quit. I keep playing, and whenever I get the opportunity to play the guy, I do. Because I want to figure out how to stop the guy. I want to figure out how to score on the guy, and I want to get better at this game. So those are the kinds of guys I put on my friend list. Not a bunch of cupcakes and lame-os who I know I can trash. That's not going to do anything for me. Secondly, lab techniques. You know, when you're labbing your partners, it's not important that you always play to win. Okay, I'm competitive, so I want to win anything. Okay, I want to win who can tie my shoes the fastest when I'm tying my shoes with the old lady. At the same time, sometimes, if I'm trying out a new scheme and I want to know whether or not this works and I'm playing Fograr, I'm going to try that scheme out. Now, I'm knowing that if I make some mistakes because the scheme's new to me, he may kick my tail. But who cares? It's a lab game. I'd rather he do it there so I can adjust what I need to fix and work on so that when I go online and play my regular league game, I'm good to go. I'm not going to the live game saying, let me use all of my good stuff that I know is going to work because I want to beat him. It's a meaningless live game. I'm playing to get better. I'm going to try that new defense. I'm going to try that new offense. So, folks, when you laugh, understand it's not necessarily about the wins and losses. If you can win, that's great. But if I lose, but the scheme I'm trying to run was successful, I won regardless of what that score says. Because that means I'm going to be able to win when it counts in a real game. So, Again, keep in mind with the lab games, it's not necessarily about who wins or loses. So when you're in the lab, it's called the lab for a reason. You're experimenting. Try out that crazy crap you've seen on YouTube. Try out that crazy crap you've been labbing in practice mode. Give it a go. Don't hold back. Who cares about the score? And last but not least, use the lab games to address your weaknesses. If you like to play man defense, and every time you lab somebody, you get beat over the top, understand that maybe man defense isn't for you. If you think you've got the best blitz scheme in the world, and every time you play a lab game, you blitz somebody, you get beat with quick passes, and you get your teeth kicked down your throat, dial back on the blitzes. The lab games are lab games for a reason. They're showing you what you need to work on. On offense, if you can't run the rock for the lab, you're not going to be able to run it in the game. So when you go into these lab games and practice mode sessions, take that time to get your run game up to par. Take that time to spend in practice mode, hitting instant replay to see where you missed the hole, why you're not following your blocks, etc., etc. Use the lab for what it is. It is just that. It's a lab. Now, last but not least, in terms of getting better, actually I got two more things. Practice mode. I don't know how you guys practice, but when I practice one of two ways. One, I go up and down my friends list, and I look to see who's available, and I hit them up for a game, and I get a lab game in. If that's not possible, I go into practice mode, and I play the computer. Now, I don't play on all Madden. I used to. I don't play on all Madden because it is not realistic when you play the computer, okay? You're not going to be able to make any kind of tackles. Average scrub running backs will break 25-year tackles, and you guys all know bullshit happens in all Madden when you play the computer. It doesn't happen online or when you play somebody live. So to me, that's not going to give me a true indication of whether or not something I'm doing is good. I play all pro, even though I love all Madden. When I play a person, I play all pro against the computer because I get to truly see how effective what I'm trying to do is. And what I like to do is I'll play a game against, like I said, I'm a Giants fan, so I'm going to play Giants against the Redskins, okay? And they're pretty long games. I set it at 6 minutes, but I'll stop the game, I don't know, 100 times during the game and do replays of certain plays. When I try blitz, I'll stop the game. Instant replay. Why didn't this guy get in? Okay, well, he didn't get in because this pulling guard moved over to the right. So in my mind now, I'm going to run the same play again on defense, but this time I'm going to say, I'm going to blitz down this linebacker to take care of the occupying linebacker moving over to see if a blitz gets in. Same thing on offense. On offense, when I'm trying new plays against the computer, maybe I got sacked. Maybe I threw a pick. I still hit an instant replay, and I'm going in slow motion to look at all of the routes developed and see who was open on that play. Who did I miss? What happened? So don't be afraid to play practice mode all pro against the computer. And don't be afraid for it to be a 2-hour game because you're instant replaying a ton of plays. Remember, you're trying to get a better understanding of the game so that when you go online and play, you're more effective. Because when you're playing somebody in franchise, you can say, hey, Coach Candy, can we take a timeout and do an instant replay so I can see why your sack got through? It doesn't work that way. You need to know why before you get into that game. So now that we went over Madden 101 straps on offense, defense, special teams, Madden mental edge, and ways that you can employ to get better, we've got a few other things. But actually, I do got one more thing. I know famous, but I got one more thing. Ways to get better. Guys, you know what? YouTube is available to all of us. It's real easy to say, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to put in Madden 13 blitzes and type it into YouTube and look at everything that comes up. And I'm going to rip and steal and troll from all the sites. And I'm going to use all that crap for my advantage. That's fine and dandy. But at the end of the day, to get to that next level, that's only going to take you so far. One, you don't understand why the play works. You just rip that off because it looked good in the YouTube video. Okay? You need to understand why something works. And that's whether you buy an ebook, that's whether you rip YouTube, you need to understand why plays work and why they don't work. You need to understand down and distance in real football situations. You know what? Maybe it's not the best idea in the world to send a cover zero blitz, I don't know, on damn 3rd and 20. Yeah, there's a good chance your blitz might get in there, but there's also a chance that, guess what? Maybe that guy converts because you've got no coverage because you set the cover 0 blitz. But you're running this, you've seen on YouTube, and it looks really cool and effective. If we all do it, I do it, okay? I go and look at plays, but I also take those plays and go into the lab and break them down and dissect them and look at why they work, and then I utilize them by using them in the right situations, and I understand weaknesses when I use it. I know when I send that cover 0 blitz and I'm sending 6, I only have 5 people in in coverage. I know the running back's in coverage, so I don't have to jump on him with my user. These are things that you need to understand. So all the glitters isn't gold. If you're going to utilize the ebook, you're going to utilize YouTube, that's good, and there's a place for it, but use it the right way. And if you truly want to get better at Madden, use that as a blueprint for you to figure out how you can create your own blitzes and your own schemes. Stop taking your hard-earned money and spending $500, $600, $700, $800, $900 a year on ebooks and ripping off plays. Because, yeah, it's going to help you in the short term, but it doesn't make you a better Madden player next year, the year down the line. You make you a better Madden player by using these tools and helping yourself to get better, not by being a carbon copy of what somebody else does. And you have no understanding of why it works or why it doesn't work. So use ebooks and use YouTube carefully, okay? Now, with all of that being said, we're all done there. I'm going to quickly jump into NBA Week 5. I'm not going to go through all the divisions. I am going to talk about 4 teams that are undefeated and 5 teams that are winless. As far as undefeated teams, the San Diego Chargers, Coach Fogra, 5-0. Coach Ike, the Buffalo Bills, 4-0. Coach Staff Sergeant Pettigrew, 49ers, 4-0. And Coach Official Headbuster, the Ravens, 4-0. Big thing I noticed about those 4 teams is they all have really stout defenses. Okay? The Buffalo Bills, for crying out loud, they've only given up 45 points through 4 games. Wow, are you freaking kidding me? The Bills, think about what I said. They've given up 45 points through 4 games. I think I gave them 45 points in 1/2. Wow. Props to the Buffalo Bills, Chargers, Niners, and Ravens for really locking down on defense. Because the big stat looking at those teams is exactly that. It's been all about their defense. The 5 winless teams. Coach Crunchy, the New Orleans Saints, 0-5. Coach Booney Mac, Atlanta Falcons, 0-4. Coach Hustleman, Indianapolis Colts, 0-3. Coach ABNTX, New York Jets, 0-4. And Coach Daddy Oyo, the Raiders, 0-4. This common trend there, what do you think, guys? Defense. None of those teams, including the Saints, who's played 5 games, have scored over 100 points yet. In 5 games. While all of those teams have given up twice as many points on defense as offense. So the big standing out sticking point there is these teams all have really anemic offenses. Okay? And this is an offensive game. So struggle on offense in a year where the game is really offensive is definitely something that needs to be fixed. However, definitely want enough time to get it together. It's only the first season of Madden. I mean, we're still in September, folks. The game isn't even a month old yet. So definitely no reason to push the panic button. I'm sure those coaches know what they got to fix, and they're on it. Now, out of the 4 undefeated teams, the Chargers, Bills, 49ers, and Ravens, my pick for the 2 teams most likely to remain undefeated for the longest amount of time, for possibly go to season undefeated, if it's possible, would definitely be Coach Fogra of the San Diego Chargers and Coach Official of the Ravens at 4-0. I played both of those guys, and both of those guys are rock solid. Coach Fogra has a methodical offense that's very hard to stop and slow down. It's a really balanced offense. He mixes up the short pass, the medium pass, and the long pass, and he will bust you with a few runs. He doesn't turn the ball over frequently. He makes a lot of good decisions, and his defense is solid. Ravens, same thing. Ravens, pretty balanced. Coach Official, pretty balanced. Will pound the rock from time to time to keep you honest. He'll hit you deep. He'll hit you mid-range. He'll hit you short. Doesn't make a lot of bad decisions in terms of turnovers and bad reads. Defense, he plays defense a little bit better, a little bit different than Fogra. Fogra is more conservative from what I've seen. He will blitz you, but he just plays sound defense all across the board. Overshow is really blitz heavy. Every year you can always count on that guy to have some sneaky A-gap and some outside pressure that will hit you so fast that you didn't even get out of your 5-step drop. And I played this year, lagged with him, and this year is no different. So those are my two most likely to remain undefeated the longest. In terms of my 5 teams, Saints, Falcons, Colts, Jets, and Ravens, the 2 teams that I picked to get their first win first, Coach Woody Mack and the Falcons. You know, the guy was a beast. Season 1 NBL. Season 2, I think he started getting burned out. I think his love for the game died down. And I think he was a man, and he just he didn't quit, so he was a man of his word, and he played his games, but I think he kind of more went through just playing the string out as opposed to really playing to win. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying the guy played to lose, but when you're not into a game and you're not doing well at it, you know what, it's hard to be fired up for it. That being said, I think he's off to a slow start this year, but I played that guy. The guy's a good player. The guy understands the game of football. I think he'll get it together. I know the kind of player he is, and I'm banking on either him or AB in Texas for the Jets getting that first win first. AB in Texas, what killed him, he's 0-4. He had 2 game sim, and I talked to him the other day and told him that this was a problem he had last year in terms of being hard to reach to schedule games. You can't give away games, guys. If I'm going to lose, I'd rather lose 100-0 than take a sim loss. That's just me. Let me earn my loss, because even in that loss, there's things I can learn. There's tendencies I can pick up to where when I play that person next time, I'm going to be better prepared. Or maybe there's something I can pick up in that game that I can use to be better in the season. When you take a sim loss, guys, it just sucks. You didn't learn anything. You lost. You don't know anything about that opponent if he's in division. You got to play the next time, and you're 0-1 to him already. Do any and everything you can, guys, to play your games. But that being said, the 2 games that he did play, he was pretty close and pretty competitive, and I've laughed with him a few times, and I think the guy's close to getting his schemes down pat. He's not there yet, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him get a win. So I'm thinking either Coach Woody Mack or Coach Avian gets it done first. Now, the last thing I'm going to talk about is, actually, you know what, guys? I'm trying to think if I should go over it. I have a little tangent I was going to talk about trade etiquette. You know what? I will go over it. I was going to maybe say it for next week because I don't want to run too long, but I'll do this and then pick the NFL games real quick and I'm out. Trade etiquette, guys. The art of a good trade. You know, I've talked to a lot of coaches and owners in the league and tried to conduct trades, and I've jumped in the chat box, and I've heard everything everybody has to say about trades, and the good and the bad and ugly, and let me give you guys my take on trade etiquette. Okay, the art of a good trade. First and foremost, the trade has to work for both sides. I can't tell you how many times, hey, are you trading Calvin Johnson? Well, no, I wasn't really thinking about it. Hey, I'll give you 18 scrubs for Calvin Johnson. Okay, well, none of those guys help me in any way. None of them do anything for me. Now I don't have a wide receiver. Why do I want 3 backup offensive linemen, a 4th-rate receiver, and a damn punter? Now, that's a ridiculous example I'm giving, guys. No one offered me that. I'm just making a point. But I have seen plenty of trades like that. If you're going to approach me for Calvin Johnson, you need to understand what I need. You need to give me something I can't say no to. Okay? When I approach anybody for a trade, I look at their rosters, I look at what they need, I understand what they need, and I'm going to give them a package that addresses their needs. If they tell me no, which a lot of people have because they're totally overvaluing who I'm asking them for, and they're trying to rate me, that's fine. I accept that. No problem. At the same time, they can't say I came with them unfairly. Okay? I'm addressing what they need. So when you trade with me, or you trade with anybody, try to understand what that person needs. Which brings me to another point. Okay? Understanding what people need. Don't overpay. Okay? The running game in Madden 13 is not as effective as it was in 12. It's gotten better in the last week or two. I believe the patch addressed it. I'm starting to see some people like Matt Forte and AP got off earlier today, and I'm starting to see some running backs coming to life. But at the end of the game, it is a passing game, and even somebody as great as Adrian Peterson is not the same Adrian Peterson of last year because the running game is not the same. So when I ask you for Adrian Peterson or Arian Foster or NJD, because I'm not singling nobody out, I'm just making an example, don't try to tell me I need to give you Calvin Johnson, Darrelle Revis, and Matthew Stafford for Adrian Peterson. Okay? Because I'm going to ask you to say no to drugs, and I'm going to ask you what color is the sky on that damn planet you're on. Shake yourself. You're better than that. But there's a sucker born every minute, and the reason some of these owners will ask for outrageous things is because they're overvaluing that player. But there's a two-part thing to this, because it's all about supply and demand. You know what? There was a trade earlier in the year where Spud, I believe, wanted 3 to 4 people for Vincent Jackson. Vincent Jackson's a beast, okay? But I'm thinking when I'm watching this, if Vincent Jackson can get 3 to 4 people, I should get 10 people for Calvin Johnson. Now, nobody jumped on it. There were some people that were willing to negotiate, but that's what I mean about don't overpay. As good as Vincent Jackson is, or Calvin Johnson, you know what? I'm probably not giving up 5 people to get Calvin Johnson, especially if they create gaping holes on my team that, yeah, I got Calvin Johnson, but now I've got no offensive line, or I've got no tight ends or no running backs or no quarterback to throw him the ball. What good is that trade? So when you're trading guys, don't get caught up in the names. If you can get a big name, great, go for it. If you can't, try to get guys that will fill your need that maybe ain't the biggest name in the world. Okay? Maybe I can't get Maurice Jones-Drew, but you know what? Hey, maybe I can try to work out a deal with Fred Jackson. Okay? Is he as good as MJD? No. Is he more than serviceable and get the job done for me, and I'll pay a lot less? Yes. So not only does the trade have to work for both sides, don't overpay. Third, especially in franchise league, you have to understand what your own philosophy is. Do you want to win now or win later? Because if you want to win now, then go ahead and mortgage all your draft picks for the next 4 seasons. But you better win now, because if you don't, you're screwed come draft time. So you need to understand what you want to do. If you're looking to be competitive now, but also win later, you know what? Maybe you don't want to trade away your draft picks. Maybe you want to get you want to get better, but you want to be conservative. So you need to understand in these franchise leagues what you're trying to do. How is your team built? If you got an old team and you got to win now because you're looking at some people retiring, maybe you got to go out there and overpay. Maybe you got to make some big trades. Maybe you got to get rid of some draft picks. If you got a young up-and-coming team, well, then you know what, you can be more conservative. And I've got to give props to Coach UGA Dog of Jacksonville Jaguars, because I love what he did this offseason. The guy had the last pick in the league. The guy made some good trades to get good now, and he stockpiled a ton of draft picks. So guess what? Not only is the guy competitive for a playoff spot this year, but the guy's going to be a beast in 2, 3, and 4 because he understood what he was trying to do. He wasn't necessarily concerned about winning at all now. He wanted to win now, but he wasn't going to mortgage his future because he realized he was trying to build a team to be competitive for the entire year, 4 or 5 seasons deep. So understand that philosophy before you make your trades. What else do we got here? I'm going to combine these 2 points into one. Don't rob Peter to pay Paul, and don't create huge holes. And I see people do this all the time, and it's foolish to me. Okay? Let me give you an example. Let me use myself. Okay? After Calvin Johnson on the lines, I've got some decent receivers, but they ain't game breakers and they ain't guys that you need to double team, et cetera, et cetera. So say I wanted Adrian Peterson, right? Which I do, but I had to give up Calvin Johnson. Okay, well now I got the marquee running back I want, but I really don't have that deep game breaking threat. So what I just did was rob Peter to pay Paul, and the trade is not as good for me as it may sound on paper because I boosted my running game, but I've killed my passing game. So when you're making trades, guys, you need to try to make trades that fill multiple holes. Well, if I'm going to trade Calvin Johnson, maybe what I do is, let me think of a team. I'm trying to think of a team with a decent running back. Not a great running back. Let's use the Niners. Okay? Frank Gore. Frank Gore is a more than serviceable running back. He's pretty decent. So let's say I was going to trade with the Niners, and he wanted Calvin Johnson. I decided I was going to trade Calvin Johnson. Well, if you're Coach Ty and you're thinking, well, I'm going to need a receiver, maybe I get Randy Moss and Frank Gore and LeVar Bowman, right? Now, that is a lot for Calvin Johnson. But if San Francisco is willing to pay that, yeah, I lost Calvin Johnson, but I got a Randy Moss. He's not the same Randy Moss, but he's a deep threat. He's serviceable. I also addressed the fact that I've got a marquee running back, and I also plugged my hole at middle linebacker. Those are the types of trades you need to make. Not, well, I'll trade Calvin Johnson for Adrian Peterson. Because I created one hole and filled another, and that does me no good. Whereas that 49ers trade does me a lot of good. Last two tips about trades, guys. Don't broadcast your business. Okay? Whenever I'm seriously going to discuss trades with somebody, I don't jump in the shop box to do it. Because we all know we're all competitive. And how does that work when you jump in the shop box? Say I wanted Dwayne Bowe from Jim A, who traded him earlier. And I'm discussing a trade for him. Well, little do I know, there's 4 or 5 people in the shout box who are observing my conversation who, unknowing to me, are emailing him at the same time saying, hey, well, if he's only willing to give you this, I'll give you this, this, and this. And they're undercutting my trade, but I don't know it. So I'm thinking me and Jim A got a deal. This is an example. Me and Jim A didn't have a deal. I'm just using him for an example. I'm thinking we have a deal, but we really don't. Only to jump out the shout box and come back in 2 hours later and go, wow, dude, you traded Bo? Yeah, he gave me so-and-so. Dude, I thought we were talking. That's done and over with because someone was in my business trying to undercut me. So, guys, when you want to discuss trades, you know what? There's a reason we have a roster list with everyone's phone number and email on it. Shoot someone a text. Shoot them an email. Hey, man, you want to talk some business? Are you willing to make this move? This, that, and the third. Okay? Stay out of the shout box because when you get ripped off and raped, it's your own fault for putting your business out there. Next thing about trades. Negotiate. Okay? You know what I hate? I hate when I shoot somebody a trade and they just decline my trade and there's no talk after that. You know what, dude? Can we have a conversation like 2 general managers? Okay, you don't like that trade I sent you, that's fine. What is it going to take to get this done? Don't just say no. Don't just decline it, okay? Because there's potential for me and you to do business, but I really can't help you because I don't know what you want. Because instead of shooting me a text and going, hey, Ty, you know what, I really don't want Roy Williams. Well, I need a cornerback. If you're willing to throw this person in, we might have a deal. Let's get business done here. Don't just decline my trade and say nothing. Okay? Either tell me, look, man, I'm not interested in trading this player at all, or tell me, listen, you're going to have to sweeten the pot. Here's what I need. Can you give me this to make this work? That's how GMs conduct business. Don't just decline the trade and don't say nothing. Don't tell me no in the email. Don't tell me there's a guy on the market. This is what I need. Let's be GMs here. We're playing the game. We're pretending we're coaching GMs. Let's do that. And last but not least, the last thing about trades, guys, be a freaking man, okay? This pisses me off to no end and a whole bunch of other people. Don't be a coward. If you got to deal with me, if we agreed as 2 grown-ass men to do a deal, and I'm under the impression we got a deal, and I come and go in the shout box and see me to deal with someone else, you didn't contact me. You didn't say, hey, guy, you know what, I'm sorry, I got a better deal over here. You just basically ripped our deal out from under us, and you backboard me, and you want a man of your word. That's cowardly. It's weak and it's corny. Look, I'm not telling you if you got a better deal, don't take it. All I'm saying is, tell me, hey, Ty, I thought we had a deal, but I got to admit, Coach Reggie jumped in here. He's got a better deal or more than that. No problem, man. I get it. You don't owe me anything, but don't be cowardly. Don't backdoor me. Be a man. If you commit to a trade, make the damn deal and do what you said you're going to do. And if you can't or don't do it, that's fine. But man up and tell the person you're not doing it. You don't have a business here. You got a better offer somewhere else. That's cool. So that's my little tangent about trades and how to effectively make trades and what needs to happen, etc. So, guys, I'm going to quickly pick NFL games because I don't want the show to run too long here. Hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you got something out of the tips. Hope you found it beneficial. Please continue to email me if you like the show, don't like the show, what you want to see, what you want to hear. And I'll talk to you guys next week. But quickly, I'm going to pick these games. I'm not going to break them down in deep depth because the show's running long. Chicago and St. Louis. Chicago. That's going to be a no-brainer. I'm not even going to think of that. Giants and Carolina. My Giants won 36-7 with a world chance for a reason. Cleveland, Buffalo. Interesting. Cleveland. Cleveland gets their first win of the season. Dallas, Tampa Bay. Dallas is going to get that game. Jacksonville, Indy. Let's go with Indy. Miami and New York. New York bounces back. San Fran and Minnesota. San Fran gets City, New Orleans. New Orleans gets win number 1 of the season. Detroit, Tennessee. Detroit gets that going once again. Cincinnati, Washington. Interesting game. That's going to be a really interesting game. I want to come back to that one. Actually, no, I won't come back. I'll think on that, but that's going to be a good one. RG3 against Andy Dalton and AJ Green. Both teams have good defenses. Washington's got hit with some injuries. I think Cincinnati pulls that one out. Philly and Arizona. Arizona looks 2-0. It sounds good. Reality, fact of the matter is they're not there quite yet. Philly hasn't played their best ball. They turned the ball over a lot, but I give this one to Philly. Atlanta and San Diego, I'm going with the ATL. Houston and Denver. Peyton Manning gets his second loss in a row, I'm going with Houston. Pittsburgh and Oakland. Oakland has no offense whatsoever. They look horrible. They're picking right back where they left off in the offseason. Pittsburgh gets that game. Green Bay and Seattle. I think that's going to be a lot better game than people think, but I'm thinking Green Bay's got a point to prove. They get that game. And the last game, Sunday Night Football, should be a great one. New England and Baltimore. Wow. I'm not sure where that game's at, if it's in New England or Baltimore, because that would have something to do with who I pick because it's got close. New England doesn't have Aaron Hernandez. I think Westbrook will see some more action in the game. I'm thinking New England gets it done. As amped up as Baltimore may be for that game to get revenge for the AFC Championship, I think New England stymies them once again. I think Flacco has a major turnover in that game that cost them, unfortunately, and New England gets that game. So those are my picks and predictions, guys. Thank you for tuning in to Coach's Corner Week 3, and thank you, Coach Reggie, for your time, effort, the editing, and everything you do for the show as well. Take it easy, guys. Hope you enjoy. I'm out.